Okay, we're back, and it's late. It is 9:30. Wow, why am I on live at this late? You might ask, and I might say, I don't know. We're gonna see how this goes, and I'm not gonna stay up more than till 11. Whoa, we got 6 people already. All right. Whoa, hello people. Hello, welcome in. I'm gonna get TikTok on my phone so I can see stuff a little bit more better. And we are on there. Awesome. All right. Welcome in, people. Welcome in. The topic tonight is what's been on your mind lately. We can talk about literally anything. Literally anything. To request, it's the blue and the pink people on the bottom, or you can say something in the chat and I'll invite you up. But yeah, hopefully everyone's been having a fantastic Thursday. It's been a nice Thursday, very long Thursday, but it's been good for the most part. All right, we'll see how this goes. I usually don't get on this late. It's usually a couple hours earlier than this, so we'll see how this goes. Teeth are the only bones we clean. Weird thought, maybe. Jilly dilly. Nice. That is interesting, isn't it? Yeah. It's interesting that we have to clean them in the first place. Like, why? What happened? Like, well, I mean, what happened, right? But like, who figured that out? It's like, why do we brush them? But then it makes sense, I guess, if they just fall out of our face. I guess. I don't know. Plaque, build. I think it builds. Plaque, yeah, I can see that being the case. People are like, yeah, there's stuff in my teeth. That shouldn't be there. All right. We'll give it a few more minutes. It's only been 2 minutes since we've been on, so we'll give it some time for more people to join in. Welcome in, everyone. Welcome in. Builds, yeah, I got that. WPN. You're good. You're good. Yeah, hopefully people have been having a great Thursday. A great Thursday. The topic tonight is what's been on your mind lately. We can talk about literally anything with the goal of practicing healthy dialogues between people and figuring out what we're doing on this earth together. That's the goal. Bro stream summer sale is crazy. Stream summer sale is crazy. I don't know what that means. And why isn't dental care considered health care? Like there are literal bones. So weird. Really, yeah, that's interesting to think about. It's just like we have to get extra shit. Man, why did I say it like that? I don't know. But it's interesting. Definitely. Well, we have someone. All right. Hello, hello.
Hello.
How you doing?
I'm doing all right. How are you?
Doing good, doing good. It's been a long day, but it's nice to come on live and hang out with you guys. So it's been good so far. But yeah. What's been on your mind lately?
Oh, a lot. Like I get more freaked out that I'm alive and nobody questions how strange that is.
Is it like existential, like holy shit, like what is this, or is it just like what how
No, hear me out. So
okay?
there's human constructs to try to accept the reality that you're in, correct?
To
People,
accept the reality.
humans, right?
I think we all
Because
live in
we're
different
in
realities, in a sense.
like I believe that humans are, let's just say, fundamentally something, right? Let's not give into human constructs of, oh, we are an animal or we're some type of alien species having a human experience. What would the answer be if we took ourselves out of the human construct? What would we see ourselves as without the human experience? Being
With
alive with that type of, go ahead.
oh no, I was just saying what you were saying, but go ahead.
Like beyond human experience. This is crazy.
Like
Like
beyond human
there's no other
experience.
life as, yeah. Like We only know and accept things like philosophy and religious theology and ideologies because this is the only thing we can conceive. We only can make up things that we can only understand. If we were a bumblebee, we wouldn't know that Leonardo da Vinci exists or 4,000 different types of religions. We would only experience life as a bumblebee or a tortoise or an immortal jellyfish.
Well,
The only reason why we
sorry. Go ahead.
have these questions are because we're human.
Right. But like it goes like into what is consciousness in a sense, right? Because like different things have different kinds of, well, like animals, like they're conscious in their own way, but like to us, like we're like self-aware that we're talking right now to each other on TikTok, and we've made this technology to do it in the first place. It's like we're capable of that with consciousness, right? Or like just who we are and questioning, like with our senses, and we have eyes and ears and whatever else.
Mhm.
But like imagine if we didn't have our senses, and imagine if we didn't have memory. Like what would that experience be? It's almost like alien like in a sense to even imagine, because it's inconceivable in a sense. It's like how is it like to not have memory and senses, but with what we've already always had, at least most people, right?
I mean, I see it as something like totally different. Like the only reason that we're questioning things is because we are a human. I kind of see it like playing a video game, right? So you and I are inside a simulation, kind of like The Sims 4.
Okay.
And there's a programmer on the outside of The Sims 4, obviously, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you are the person playing as you. The person playing as you can be a dog. They don't know how it feels to be a human, so they want to develop some type of simulation to feel what it feels like to be a human,
Mm-hmm.
have human rationalizations, have human experiences. For example, the mantis shrimp can see in different type of ultraviolet lights than you and I.
Mm-hmm.
That imagine a mantis shrimp as a human could paint a drastically different portrait of the Mona Lisa than an artist.
Right.
Be- because of that, like I think we're the lowest type of entity in existence.
Compared to like everything else, like every other like living thing, or
Yeah,
like what do you how
absolutely.
would you say that it's like the lowest, like if we're able to do
Well,
all this.
because we need an explanation. We need philosophies. We need constructs. We need systems. We need math. We need literature. We need language to exist. A flower doesn't need to create any of that, yet it has consciousness and life retention. It has the ability to understand and computate input systems and output systems. It has the potential to procreate, yet it doesn't need anything that we need to sustain itself. It doesn't need to have self reflection, yet it exists prior to our existence and will continue to exist, hopefully, after the human species lives. So then that begs the question, okay, what is life about? That's my problem. That's what's been on my mind. I'm alive, and the only thing that I can think about is that I'm alive. There's nothing beyond that. I think that's superficial. That's the baseline of consciousness. It's a simple question for a simple species that all our life entirely we've made up art, math, sciences, art, philosophy, all these things to wonder about things that already exist. It's already here. We're already alive.
So yeah, I get what you're trying to say. So like, do you think we're like in a simulation? Like, would you like, because you brought that up before? I'm trying to go back and then forward. But like, do you think like the simulation theory is true in your eyes,
Oh,
or like how would you envision it?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. To build a simulation, to me, there's only two outcomes. One outcome is that, say, you're the administrator, like you are on a computer.
Mm.
Say, for instance, you're an alien and your alien boss says, I want you to go into the lab and come up with a simulation that simple types of components can come out with complex things. You're like, okay, cool, I'll do that.
Mm.
So in the first type of simulation that can exist, there's no interference. The alien goes to the computer computer. The alien develops the computer program. He codes it, does everything, puts simple components into it, and then boom, our simulation comes up. He doesn't intervene. He doesn't add DLCs. He doesn't reprogram stuff. He leaves it alone.
Hmm.
And then it facilitates a world that we believe is so complex, yet is just like a simple protein simulation like they do in real labs today to see how different types of things develop inside of the body.
Okay.
And then there's this second one where humans think that there's some initiation at every turning point. And I beg to question, okay, then how's it a simulation if someone keeps intervening inside of it?
So okay, so when people like with the aliens or like the gods or whoever like
Correct,
intervening,
yeah.
like that would make it not a simulation, like or what? Help me understand that.
Okay. Say, for instance, like I said, this simple complex thing. You have three primary colors that can make up every color, correct?
Hmm.
Say that the three primary colors are three different types of properties of physics: exchange, interference, and like adaptation,
Hmm.
correct? Like you have things exchanging information, changing it, or blocking it out.
Okay.
You don't have to have 30 million different complex things to do so. My point is if I want to develop a world where sentience evolves, or that's not even my main goal, just life exists, how am I allowing that simulation to thrive with me observing it? Once I observe it, I see giraffes that beat up, for example, purple hippos. I don't like that. So I create laws and rules. In that intervention, I have changed everything that can possibly develop on its own.
Oh, so like you built the simulation first with all of its logic and rules and whatever it needs to make life in general, and then once something occurs that you don't like, as you as the creator, when it wants, like you intervening, it makes it. Um, what does it make that then?
Your creation, not a simulation. In my mind, a simulation is something that lives on its own without any intervention
Oh,
whatsoever,
okay,
no
okay. So I
observation,
see, I see.
no nothing.
Okay, so simulation theory is no creator, and like creation theory or creationist people would say there's a creator, and that's the intervening,
Mhm.
and because the intervening happens, it wouldn't be a simulation. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, okay. Sorry, it took me a while to get there. No, it's interesting to think about. Have you ever thought? Have you ever heard about the holographic principle or theory? Right? Holographic,
Oh,
where
yeah.
you can probably explain it better. I want you. I'm curious. It's curious to hear how you explain it.
Well, that's a brilliant thing that you brought up. So, say for instance, I've had this thing in my mind. Scientists say, well, math is a universal language. I think that's bullshit because, say for instance, that there's an alien that comes here really quickly, so I don't go on a nerd tangent, comes in a spherical type of aircraft. It's anti-gravitational. It can warp in and out of the exosphere to the throatmosphere, the stratosphere, all of that stuff. Submerge itself inside of water, go out, warp types, like warp out of a wormhole. Obviously, they're not using the same math as we do if they can do all those things interchangeably. So the hologram theory, I see that as just a higher dimensional life form with better math. For example,
Yeah. To
you know those fans that speed up really quickly and then you have light making a 3D object,
Oh yeah, definitely.
right?
Yep.
That's how I see the hologram theory. If I want, say it's because I have two ways the simulation works. Like I said, one with intervention, one with not. So
Hmm.
this is the one with intervention. If I would want a system to think that they are sentient, I would write everything into this simulation, even them asking the question, am I in the simulation? And then they can't go past that firewall. And
Well.
then I would make it even more so. Say that they're in a two-dimensional world,
Okay.
and I put in physical things that make them believe that they're in a three-dimensional world. So that not even if they got out of the two-dimensional world, went into the three-dimensional world, it would seem their body couldn't interact with three-dimensional types of physics. So then there's another firewall. I would have so many preventative measures for a sentient life form to figure out that they're in a computer.
But we are thinking about it right now. So what's that mean?
Right. I would write it. I would write. I would want you to write that question in there so you would keep
So
contemplating it.
so we write it.
Say for say
So
for
is it
instance,
predetermined?
no.
Okay.
It's just all you would have to write. This is I know I'm not that smart. So
No,
like
you're okay.
I
No,
would write in.
you're doing actually a really good job at articulating all this. So don't sell yourself short here. You're doing good.
I would write simple. This is my thing. Humans complicate things too much, in my opinion. If I'm a alien computer programmer and I say I have no physical body and I want to live in one, but I have to come up with a simulation to see how 14 billion years life could evolve by itself, what it would be like for life to have a container, and see what happens when life works within itself, meaning our world. Are there wars? Are there genocide? Are there good joyous times? Are there civil wars? Do civil rights happen? Yada, yada, yada.
Hmm.
I wouldn't want to be in that world and put myself in a body if I can't live in it.
You
Also,
wouldn't
I
want to
don't
be in
want these
that
people to
world.
figure,
Wait, you wouldn't want to be
yeah,
in a world and put yourself in that body if you couldn't live in it? What do you mean by that?
say for instance that I'm an alien in a nine-dimensional world and I have omnipotence. I have the ability to move matter with my mind. If a human if I live in a body and this body is in an environment where I get discriminated against about my skin color or my gender orientation, I don't want to live in that world to show these people I have powers. God knows what they would do next. So to do that, I would be an observer. I would create a simulation where I can intervene consciously because consciousness in my mind works through quantum entanglement, that I can be 14 billion light years away and interact with something that's 14 billion miles away in the other direction. It's instantaneous information. So the greatest alias, the greatest cover would be human consciousness. Number one, you can't prove that it's real. Number two, the human can believe that it's a god, your inner world, self awareness, metacognition, a god, anything. That's what the human's going to think. The voice in my head is God. I can tell the human, uh, build an empire, don't build an empire, have a civil war, don't have one, be this person, be an artist, go down that street, don't drink that water, to see what they would do. Then as the simulations continuing, I'm like, oh, these things listen to an outer voice. They I can't wait to get into this body, but you want to see how the simulation continues. Then you put up a firewall, putting in this simulation that this human's going to ask, okay, there's something beyond reality that must be controlling me. I would put that in there so they would keep questioning it year after year after year, eon after eon, millennia after millennia, and never get to the answer because they can't get out of the console. They can't get out of the code. They can't get out of the the computer program. Perfect disguise. Number one, an alien can be your consciousness. Two, they can control you from instantaneous quantum entanglement. So they don't have to be physically here either.
So
So you keep
aliens or
asking,
God is the voice in our heads.
yeah, I fully believe it's aliens.
I
What other,
can
like,
I can
can
well
you,
I like the idea with like what is the voice in our heads, right? And what's the voice we should listen to, right? And that's where it gets really interesting, right? It's sneaky, isn't it? Sorry,
yeah,
don't mean to scare
no,
anyone.
you're good. Like, like, I oftentimes, I know I sound so out of it. Like,
No, you're
how do
good.
you prove you're you? How do you
Well,
prove today is Thursday?
we can talk with you. Like, what day is today for you?
I don't know.
You don't know.
No. Well, Today, by human standards, it's Thursday, June 25th.
Right. So we can
But
say
that's
on human standards, like because like that's where we start, right? We start with humans because that's what we claim we are, right? And then we can go from there. But first we're like, okay, so it's Thursday. It's 9:51 p.m. for me. I'm in Central Time, Kansas City, Kansas, and you don't have to say where you're from. But let's it's Thursday for me. So it's Thursday for you too. So we found that out together, right?
hmm but this is things that this is why I feel so ostracized by society. Like oftentimes when I'm working, I will stare at something for a long time. Then my body processes the physical and electromagnetic structure of the car, correct? Or how it can work mechanically. Humans forget, this is why I'm saying that that's what's been on my mind. Never computate, never question where the hell that thought come from. How
Well,
can
we
a
are doing that
brain
right now.
number yes, but where does it come from?
Right. So this is interesting because we can apply it to a lot of different things, right? I think it depends how delusional you want to get, but I think as long as we know it's a delusion, it's hmm, we can practice this on our own, right? So like I can like talk to goddesses, right, up in the sky, and be like, okay, goddess, like what the fuck are we talking about right now? Well, we're talking about the voice in your head, Brady. My voice, my voice, my voice, right? It's like we can have these like dialogues with ourselves. We do this internally already, so to some degree, like depending on how like aware we are of our
Mhm.
of how we think. But like we can bring it out into the world and we can speak it out and externalize the thought. And when doing that, that can be different characters maybe. But we tend
Mhm.
to if we know ourselves well enough, because I am thinking, therefore I am, and I can think and I can see. And you know what if I'm just the observer, right? And everything, like, why did I move my hand like that? Like, I didn't even want to, and I did. So why is my hands moving like this, right? Why am I even looking at my hands? Why am I talking to you? Whoa, oh my god, what's going on right now? I don't. Just kidding, just kidding.
Yeah,
It's like we
I
can
get it.
we can get to such a conscious like um like sorry, I didn't mean to scare people if I did, but I don't know if it was scary, but I'm literally just talking out loud right now and not knowing what I'm talking about, to the point where I'm trusting myself to say whatever the fuck is coming out of my mind, right? To the point where my eyebrow just did something, right? And
Right.
I'm looking at this and I'm like, what is really controlling Brady right now? And this is where it gets fun, and we can continue this conversation while I
Like
get some agua.
that's exactly what I'm talking about. Like the under layer of everything. People are so caught up in their illusion that right now my diaphragm is expanding and constricting. It's pushing air out of little tiny bronchial tubes, and air mixed with CO2 that's contained from the mixture, and how plants change carbon monoxide into oxygen, and I breathe that in. That oxygenates my blood. My blood gives oxygen and proteins and glucose to my organs. And then I'm talking to you. My esophagus tightens and then extracts and pushes the air out of my diaphragm, mixing with my thoughts, going through my ears, bouncing off the walls with particle duality. Uh, and then reverbs back inside of my eardrums so I can hear myself talk, thinking at the same time.
Yeah,
But how? Why?
but why? Well, that's a good. That's
Like,
this is where we can make the story up, right? It doesn't have like we don't have to be exactly accurate, really. It's what we collectively believe in at the end of the day, right? And what do you mean by that,
but
Brady?
I think that's made up too.
Well, look. Well, okay, imagine this. Sorry. So I'm just. I feel really goofy right now, but imagine like there was a time when everything was just in harmony. We can say, or accord, or unity, whatever we want to label it as, right? And this can be subjectively whatever we could think about as individuals. But maybe it was divine. Maybe we were all divine. Maybe we weren't. Maybe we were just like really just like a good collective group of whatever it is. And we decided to fragment out, because we just want to experience this, right? Like, whoa, holy moly, I'm feeling some good things right now. To know that in the future we'll come back to being one. Well, not one, like not melded together, but just like, living together in harmony, whatever that means. I resonate with that idea, and I don't know if it's true, but I think believing in things sometimes like that can help me be more better, be Brady in this world.
Right.
And um, we can think about like what is going on underneath everything, and it's fun to think that. Um, yeah, it is fun to think that. I'm
It's
also
just
very.
it's just the underlying answer or question that humans try to arrive at. And I come to this dragon that's from Skyrim, and he says, "What is better, to be born good or to overcome your evil efforts through great effort?"
Overcome your
And
evil acts, or what? Overcome your evil
he
acts.
said, he's like, "What is better, to be born good or to come overcome your evil nature through great effort?"
Huh. That's interesting. I like that. Um, well, to be born good, like, what's that mean? Like, no one's really like. Well, I wouldn't say anyone is. Well,
Well,
hmm.
the one thing I like about humans is that I also have a theory that humans are not of Earth, that we're a hybrid species that was placed here for some type of alien simulation to figure out how multiple life forms can live on one planet and what happens when that does.
Hmm.
But the thing that I like about humans, when you ask that question, is what does a sentient life form do with suffering, and how that experience changes the individual to be something that they never thought they could possibly be.
I like that. I like that. That's interesting. Hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like, how do you become the greatest version of yourself if you were born with all the privileges that will not forge you into becoming the greatest version of yourself?
Well, I think even if you have all the resources, like you're still gonna be destined to be like a selfish prick, right?
I
I
don't
said
think
that out loud.
so.
Well, like imagine like you coming from like a wealthy family, right? And this person got maybe a sum of like $1 million from his dad or something like that, and I don't know. He goes and like touches women in bad ways, and because he thinks he can, right? And what else does he do? Yeah, he touches more women. He goes into like really young change like beauty pageant like places, and
Hmm.
looks at young ladies and brags about it on a talk show. He even calls his I think his daughter voluptuous. Is that weird? But like, look, this guy has also committed 34 felonies too. And he's the
Yeah.
leader of a country. Are you? Sorry, but like,
No,
okay.
I get it. I get it. That's why I'm working on a comic book. I've been recently making edits because I've been too scared to be myself. But who myself is someone in the character, my main protagonist, the hero, is the person that holds the people accountable. Yet I wouldn't have this much motivation, this much anger, this much resentment, this much anger inside of myself if I wasn't exposed to selfish individuals that don't hold themselves accountable, that go into locker rooms and just violate the safety, the emotional intelligence of another human being, that they don't have respect for themselves or respect for other people. And to have a conversation with an individual like that, that is so deluded to what their actions do and how those actions have consequences that they would never live up to. How do you punish a person like that? Do you, number one, lock them up? B, beat the shit out of them? Or C, have them experience a life that they would never experience before? That's why most Native American people and very indigenous people think that we are reincarnated. I hold that to be true too,
Hmm.
because the greatest lesson an individual can learn is the lesson of suffering.
So what if this is interesting? I'm gonna tag on to this because what if there's a confused agent upstairs And we are essentially the technology for this confused agent to become. So we're humans or actors. We can be good or bad actors, and we can be agents, maybe potentially. Or you might agent. I'll talk to you about that later on. And then gods, right? And this confused agent upstairs is really fucking things up down here. But that's okay. We're the technology for it because it's experiencing through us, and it's going to learn
Mhm.
through us, and it's okay. And because of that, it's going to be okay. Not a problem. It's nothing to be scared of. It's actually a very good thing that we're talking about this right now.
Yeah. Because without the agent above, say we use your agent theory, that say you want to simulate a world where you continuously try to have sentient life forms evolve to be omnipotent, but to have omnipotence reigning free through a multitude of individuals, you would have to have people that are metacognitive, meaning that they think about their thinking, how that affects the environment around them. Not only as speciations to them, meaning things that are like them, but
Mm,
planetary life, marine life, etc. So if I was your agent and I wanted to facilitate this world, I would have to have something as a huge bad example for these humanoids to understand what not to do, like the Holocaust or genocide or racism or homophobia. It has to be so emotionally unnerving that it changes the frequency within inside of the individual to override the system, like in Detroit Become Human, that video game, or override the matrix to becoming the one, to facilitate a new standard of
mm.
what morality is and cannot ever be.
And we can get there, right? I'm optimistic. Maybe not in my
I,
lifetime, but um, I think we can
I
see the
think we're
path.
there. We're there now. Like,
Okay.
think if you look at humans outside of being a human, we're pretty amazing. Well, humans are one of the only animals that do not tolerate bullshit. Does it take a lot of years? Yes. But the fact that, say, an alien came down here and he threw a piece of garbage on the floor, and a whole bunch of people came and, hey, you can't do that, man. That's littering. Or he poured oil in the ocean. Hey, we protect marine life here. You can't do that. And then he goes and sees people that wouldn't really give a shit about any of that. The diversity on this planet is crazy, but yet laws are still standard. The alien would go to jail. You can't dump stuff in the ocean. I think on the outside looking in, we're pretty, we could have done anything. And look what we've done.
And still
Right
avoid,
now,
right?
we have we could do anything. Think about that. We have rules set up to protect fish. Fish.
Yeah, it's really, yeah. So this is why having conversations is like this is important. I believe is to facilitate like healthy dialogues where we can understand what we're doing on this earth together, because we can get to a lot of different things right now, and I think we're both aligned to the point where we know we want to progress together, like me and you, and I'm sure people watching this probably resonate with it in some way or shape or form, and it's really interesting. And I forgot what I was going to say, but I'll let you talk next.
Um, like my main goal before I die is to create this comic book and to finally have a hero that and characters that represent all types of life.
Mm, mm-hmm.
Because through violence, malice does not change. Only through accountability does benevolence reign free.
Yeah.
You can't expect to conquer your enemy by resorting to the same nature he has. You have to overcome that type of primal nature of violence and ignorance
Yeah.
to build a better world.
You know it.
But
You
how
know
do you
it.
do that?
Well, this
Is
is
the
where we
biggest
start.
question.
So fear is the root cause of all unnecessary suffering. If the individual can eradicate fear from the mind, they can lead more productive and fulfilling lives. And this doesn't mean we can't feel fear. That's actually a good thing, to feel emotions, but we shouldn't let it dictate our thought process. And the more we are vocal about I believe, of our minds and being vulnerable in this way to like model out like what we can be as humans, and just speak our minds, I think the more people are going to click, and it starts out small, right? We're very small. We have 5 people. Is it that right? 5 people. Awesome, cool. And we grow and we grow and we grow and we grow. Look, it's proven at this point, and I'm if I really want it to happen in my lifetime, that's why I'm trying so hard to go on TikTok all the time, right? But the first person I talked to resonated with me in a different way, and she became inspired to start her own TikTok lives, and she does similar stuff that I do, but in her own way, which is beautiful and great and amazing. And last week, I talked with 4 people that had all different backgrounds. One was an atheistic Satanist, which sounds worse than it is. There's a theist and atheist, agnostic, and I'm agnostic, spiritually leaning, but more probably spiritually leaning than anything. And we all were like talking about deep things, and we were all understanding what the mission was in our own ways, right? And people were like, "This is so beautiful. This is amazing," and I'm like, "Yes, you guys get it." So look, people resonate with this, and we're connected in so like we're ultra connected at this point. And the more we speak about this, like stuff like this, the more we're gonna be like, "Oh, whoa, click, 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 click," and it just goes.
Right?
But it's um there's yeah, yeah. It's a vision, but like I'm no prophet, right? But like it's a pattern, and we can see patterns, and we know what not to be, and we see that in the world. We look, we see, we don't repeat bad.
Yeah, I agree. Like, um, to me, some people ask, is there a thing called good and evil? Well, yes, because you know right from wrong. There are things that are intersubjective, objective, and subjective.
What do you mean by intersubjective?
Intersubjection is the combination of objective and subjective truths.
How does
Like,
that work?
say, we all know it's bad to suffocate things that have autonomy.
Hmm.
It's objective that the thing, the entity will die. Subjectively, it's wrong to kill things that don't have advocacy.
Well, couldn't people say objectively that's wrong too? Like like
No,
it'd have to be like the whole collective before we say that, right?
no, because you could state that the person you're suffocating is Hitler.
Okay, so subjectively for a different person, it's okay, but like objectively, no, because it doesn't apply to all situations. Is that
Right.
right? Okay.
What that's what I'm saying is intersubjective. Killing Hitler would not have the example of who not to be. So Hitler has to, it's like the grandfather paradox. How can you go back in time to kill your grandfather if you don't exist because you killed your grandfather? How will emotional intelligence evolve in a human primate species like our modern apes, what we are, if Hitler never showed the example of how bad it could get?
Yeah, and I think it's important like to hold on to that idea. But like even then, we can like time travel back and be like, was it really even like could have we done better? But then I don't know. We can always go back and say like we could have done better. But now here we are today, and we are. This is gonna sound fucked, but this is how I talk with myself, and like we are
Mm-hmm.
grateful for the good and the bad, even though we don't want it. We don't want the bad, right? But we are grateful for it because we know what not to be, and that's fucked up to say kind of sometimes, because I know people have their own like history when it comes to something really terrible happening to them, right? But I think so when I talk to myself, right? Story time. I've been developing this uh, thing in my head for a while now, and I started
Mm-hmm.
externalizing my thoughts very recently last year, because a wonderful woman did it, and she is one of the people I like. Holy shit, she gets it, and in her own way, and I'm not gonna talk about her anymore, but she got me to externalize my thoughts, and I one day I was trying to quit chewing tobacco because it's disgusting, right? But I just couldn't stop, and I was like, this isn't doing me any good, right? And I was walking a path, and I envisioned myself in the future along the path, And I'm like, okay, Brady, once you get to this point up here, you're gonna freaking decide and like sign the contract. And this is me talking to my future Brady. Okay, future Brady. Okay, let's talk Brady. Okay, so look, what we do, we're on this path, and once we get to the path, like the point in the path, we're gonna convince ourselves not to. So it goes like this. I my gums are receding a little bit. I like my teeth. I like my smile. And I want a girlfriend, damn it. And by that time, I was in the path, like up ahead. I signed the contract. I'm like, all right, buddy, signed. No more, no more. And it made me think, like, how do I talk with my past self, right? So I'm like, okay, past Brady, like, thank you, thank you. I knew, like, you're not always, like, you weren't always doing the right thing sometimes, or like, it was hard to like get through these things. But like, if it wasn't for you, Brady, I would not be who I am today, and I'm thankful for that. And I think we can apply that to so many different levels of thinking. If that makes any sense.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like that's what it's just so important to know the distinction between what the chosen is. When you watch a movie and you see the hero's journey, they're struggling and all this other stuff, and they have this ethereal moment where they meet God and or the leader or some crazy Thanos type of alien from the outer abyss of space.
Mm-hmm.
And out there inside the velvet curtain of the void, in the canopy of the cosmos, the god asks this hero one question: what will you do with your power? And do you think that you hold a responsibility of governing your power for the greater good? So
Mm-hmm.
when you're posed with this question, not in that moment are you the chosen. The part where you choose, like when Neo was confronted with the Oracle and he went in thinking he's going to get this huge prophecy that he is the one, he is chosen, that he, above all else, is there to save everybody in Zion and save all the sleeping sheep inside of the computer. He gets out, he's disappointed that she says, Neo, you are the one. He confronts Morpheus, knows that this is going to burst the bubble of Morpheus's dream and downgrade the morale of the team. But Morpheus gets captured by the agent, and everything within him will not allow that to happen. He does not want to see Morpheus die. He knows all it had to take for Morpheus and the team to get here, Trinity, everything, everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Then in that moment, you choose to be the chosen, just like the Oracle said it in the later movie. You knew the Oracle told Neo exactly what he needed to hear to become the chosen.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're in the envelopment of the outer dimension of human capacity and you get to have a conversation with the universe and the universe asks you, Brady, what do you want in life? And you say, I don't want to chewing tobacco anymore.
That's
And the
working. Yep.
universe says, huh? And then the universe says, Brady, your wish is my command. And then he, the universe sets for 50% off chewing tobacco. You don't go in and go get it.
That's
You
funny.
win a raffle ticket, free year subscription to the best prime premium chewing tobacco in the world. Every time you choose not to chew it, you become the one. The closer and closer you see the grid, the matrix, your enlightenment, your third eye opens, you meet God. That you asked for it, the universe gave it to you. You either choosing to chew it will make you take the red pill, right? I
Well,
think
I
that's
don't
the
know.
right pill. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know which pill it is. But it's like urges are gone. I don't have an urge anymore, which is
No, no, no,
interesting.
not an urge. The fact that you want something, right? You want to stop chewing tobacco. It's more beyond the urge, the relief it gives you when you chew it, when it hits your tongue and your teeth, and you have this chemical reaction inside of your body. You know afterwards you're going to feel terrible about it. Why did I do that? I'm not really focusing on what I need. I don't want bad things to happen to my body. ABC, right?
Yeah.
But it's beyond that. You had a conversation because you said that you're spiritual with
Yeah.
source. And
So
I
yeah. Yeah.
and you made a contract with yourself, I'm assuming, or a plan or a negotiation. I will
Yes.
try. The moment you say that, in my belief, because I'm an agnostic atheist,
Okay.
the contract is starting to develop with the universe.
Yeah, it's interesting because when you say the hero's journey, it made me think about something because I'm bipolar and I've been in three and a half, so 4 manic episodes, and in each and every single one of them, it's almost obvious that there's a god, and I just become this chaotic gremlin that's trying not to hurt people, but hurts people sometimes, and I feel bad about that, and I can talk about that in the future. But like one thing that developed early on in 2022, the first time I've had my manic episode was these thoughts and where are these thoughts coming from? And I'm like, God, what the fuck? And uh, there's a lot of dark things going on too because I thought I could talk with God and the devil, which freaked the fucking shit out of me, and I forgot my name, and that's a whole nother story. But something I was like thinking about was like, okay, so fuck, I'm apparently going to be this person that uh, risks his life for everyone, and I'm gonna be betrayed by someone close to me. What the fuck? And I'm like, no, 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 no. But then the voice is like, you don't have to do this. I'm like, well, shit, why not? Well, I didn't go like that, but like I had that thought where I was like empathizing with Jesus. I'm like, I'm not Jesus, guys. I'm not Jesus. No, 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 no. I'm not that. But this is the interesting thing. Like my brain went down that route, knowing that I wasn't that, but choosing to be courageous if that moment arises. And what's that mean, right? And I've been thinking about that sometimes, and not for like not too much. It just comes up into my conscious now because we're talking about this, right? It's interesting when different thoughts come from different people, how different thoughts come to my brain, and I wonder if we can all experience, how do I phrase this in the right way, where we all make that realization together, if that makes any sense. Like no one person ever has to do that again.
I don't. I think it goes along with the like this. How do I say it? What is what is the point? So, say for instance that you have a conversation with Source. I call it universe. And you're at the end of your life and you're leaving your human body and you're in conversation with this entity and you're everything everywhere all at once.
I like the movie.
And yeah, and then the universe asks you, so what do you want to know? And of course, it's always the human answer. Why do I exist? Where do we
Mm.
come from? What was it all for? And the universe leans in into you and asks, why does it matter now? And then you
Or
think a
yeah,
little bit. And then this is the thing that my voice asks me every time like I'm in that place where you were. And I'm like, well, I had to learn this, and then the universe leans in again. Okay, yeah, but what does it matter now? And it kind of reverberates everywhere,
what does it matter
and you
now?
see what it.
What
Yeah,
what what
just like
matters?
I think visually. So I'll have to describe it visually.
Yeah.
And you're in the absence of everything. There's no planets, no stars, no nothing, no nothing, no light, no darkness, nothing. You're in the construct, and your voices are reverberating off of nothing. And there's emptiness, nothing, nothing is there. And the universe keeps asking, okay, what does it matter now? And he looks around and he's gesturing for you to look around too, because there's nothing in the absence of life. You experience nothing. You once had a life, you had a body, you experienced suffering, joy, grief, thoughtfulness, sadness, depression, suicidal ideologies, joy, hearing an opera, hearing a baby cry, going down the street, having your first cigarette, having your first love of your life. But now that you're the outside of experience, you asked me what it was for. seems like that's what I'm saying. To me, I'm the lowest form of life to have experienced everything in an instantaneous moment, then to after my death to ask the question what it was for. I didn't get the purpose in the first place.
Well, what about
So
speaking
I
right now?
want
Like, what's this? What are we speaking for right now? Like, say if I'm God and you're someone
to.
else, like, and ask me what's it for?
To me, it's for nothing.
Well,
I don't have to be spectacular to be spectacular. My
right.
existence in itself is the proof of the answer.
But we can have this conversation like in a different level layer.
Yeah.
Like, what do you think we're doing right now?
I think that we're understanding that there's no, to me, not, I'm not saying what it is should be for you,
Yeah.
but for me, the reason why we're having this discussion, I mean, to arrive at nothingness. Once you have arrived at nothingness, you have known everything. You get what I mean? So you when you say, for instance, you come
How do
back
you
as
know
a
that?
frog.
How do you
There's
know
your
that?
answer, huh?
How do you know that? If you
That's
arrive at
it's just
nothingness.
to me, and to me, it's an intuitive knowing. How that's why people, well, I know God, or I knew to walk down the street, not walk this way, because you know in your gut you would be robbed. That explain it to some other motherfucker is not going to get it. You know the truth. You know who's talking to you. You know why you don't go down that alley. To come back a frog, come back a leader, come back a woman, come back a rock, all this other stuff. To then end at the last question, what it was it all for, to arrive at nothing. You had to have been everything but prior to that.
Well, didn't you say you like leaned into the idea of reincarnation?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So wouldn't that not make you an atheist? Wouldn't that yeah? Wouldn't that not make you an atheist?
I think that we're everything everywhere all at once. And it's so interconnected that the connections of consciousness as that entity we can't experience at this moment. But let me give you an example. The reason why I think everything's connected, take for instance this species of beetle, and the species of not beetle, I'm sorry, mushroom,
Hmm.
has these beetles come out because of spores that they come out. Long story short, through different type of chemical compounds, spores, wind, everything, this mushroom is able to migrate to different parts of the forest by having beetles come and eat trees, the trees dying, fungus growing on the trees, deer eating the moss on the trees, the mushrooms migrating to the fecal matter inside of the deer's poop so they can migrate to another part of the forest. That's a thinking organism, correct? How is that
I don't
possible
know.
without external experience?
I don't know if it's thinking like being like, yo, I'm gonna get in this deer's poop. I don't know. But I don't know how to answer that, or if I have an answer for it, or I don't know. I'm just don't know about that. Like, how do we know if it's
It's just,
thinking? So, are you like a
well, it's
panpsychist?
obvious. No, I don't even know what that means.
So it's like with like there's with varying levels of consciousness within things. It's like saying like a tree
Mhm.
would have like some sort of subjective experience that's like alien to us. Like we don't know what it's like just to be a tree, but like it has some form of
Mhm.
consciousness on like on a scale. If that makes any sense.
I think it's even more simpler than that. I think, like I said before, humans tend to overcomplicate things. A scientist goes inside a biochemist and they're a botanist, and they say fungi can think, and then someone's opposed to it and say they can't think without a mind. Humans are still complicating it too much. To arrive at the nature of what we're doing right now, asking this question on an electronic brick invented by some man somewhere in the absence of his mind and his delusions in the corner, he gets an idea to build a phone. Think of it. And in all of this, all outside of all of that, you ask the question, are you a panpsychist? Is there levels of consciousness? I don't even think that we're separate from anything. For a fungus to plan. That means it to me. That's called planning. That you know
Freaking TikTok is being
what
silly. Sorry. All right.
you know what beetles practically to call into the forest like your Doctor Strange to eat down a tree so you can migrate somewhere. To me, is thinking, it's planning, it's chemical warfare as well.
Well, couldn't it just be
To me,
innate
I
and
have no.
their system, their programming, so they're programmed to act but not to think.
No, no. You had to have to act on something. You had to have a desire.
Okay.
You also had to have a motivation. What we call motivations, desires, goals, aspirations are human types of terminology to understand something a mushroom innately knows every day, but doesn't have to define it in Webster's dictionary.
But what does
That's
that
all.
mushroom
That's
know?
what I'm
What
saying.
does that mushroom know?
That life is effortless through the mind.
Effortless through
What
the
you
mind.
think you become. Absolutely. What you think you become.
A
A
mushroom
mushroom's not sitting
thinks that.
in a board, huh?
A mushroom thinks that.
No, it intuitively knows it
Oh, intuitively. How do we know that?
by a feeling.
Okay.
And humans complicate that with language. A mushroom is doing the same exact thing a military operative would do. A military person that's coming out with this strategic plan to infiltrate a certain type of dangerous area is planning. A
Mm.
mushroom thinking what type of spores to put out to have beetles come into the area so it can destroy another environment, just like the military expert is doing, are doing literally and scientifically the same thing. We just call it two different things. A mushroom has the thought, I want to migrate to a safer area in the forest so my lineage can live on, and I can live on after that, and I can live on after that, is an intuitive sense of my mind creates my reality. Then, by through process of what humans call Darwinian evolution, biology, your physiology, your anatomy, your biochemistry, literally facilitates itself from the thoughts that you have and allows you to have spores that bring beetles in so you can have trees that are destroyed. Deers eat the moss on the tree so you can literally migrate to another section of the forest that you thought of. The whole journey in between is a lifetime. Your lifetime is a process and a development of the thoughts that you bring forth. Your mind literally creates reality.
Right. So when you say like moss has its own thinking mechanisms, like you're not
Mhm.
saying like it has like its mind with it, right? But like from somewhere else, like there's something being projected into like the moss to
No,
to,
no.
to act, or like I'm confused like with how does moss think if it doesn't
Okay,
have like a brain?
let me give me a few seconds to try to have a metaphor for this.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Um, the only way I can describe it is from a video game. Say, for instance, you and I are in the construct. Have you seen the Matrix?
The first one and part of the second one, I think, and not the third one.
Okay, let's say to all dimensions are in a giant white room that has no limits, no walls, no boundaries. It's infinite. And you and I are sitting at a computer. You have a computer of your own. I have mine. And I develop Red Dead Redemption,
Oh,
but
such a good game.
you know it as Simulation Earth, and you're my observer. You are watching what I'm doing. You're an agent. You're pretending to build your own game to see if I'm capable of being moral. I'll let me cook. I'll explain it.
You're okay.
So I develop Arthur Morgan, and you ask, how did you arrive of making this human? I explain to you Darwinian evolution. You mark on your 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 list, check. She's done something that I wanted her to do, develop life with minimal intervention. Let life forms learn on their own. That's basically what Darwinian evolution is.
But with
And you say, okay, you say, well, how does Arthur Morgan know right from wrong? And I explain to you the history of theology. I explain to you how non human life forms develop certain types of morality, like penguins, for example. They're monogamous, they don't fight a lot. Wolves have the older they have a system. Everything has a system. Everything's taking care of itself, what we call moral and care, empathy, etc. And you say, great, that's great. And you say, okay, but how does Arthur Morgan know right from wrong? What have you facilitated? And I tell you, I'm his consciousness. I tell him, because some things he might not know what to do and how to do them. I'm what the humans call their guide, their source, consciousness, God. And you say, wow, that's interesting. And you say, okay, now what is Arthur Morgan going to do with this intuitive sense? I said Arthur Morgan is going to develop a system where he thinks what he's doing is vengeance, that he is going to go back and put people in their place that have hurt him because he feels suffering. And then you see me, Arthur Morgan, kill a rabbit. And you say, well, is that moral, what he's done? And I tell you, well, Arthur Morgan just needs to eat. Now, let's broaden that a little bit. This is where I'm coming from, how everything's connected. Now, imagine a video game where you are everything. You're a tree, you're a mushroom, you're a tardigrade, you're a rabbit, you're a jellyfish, you're everything. You're a small neutrino coming in through the atmosphere of Earth. You're everything. In that experience, you are still in one side of one console. You can be played by one character, meaning me, the operator of the controller. I can choose your life. I can interact by putting my headset on and talking through the mic and directing your life the way that I want you to, so you can arrive at what you assume is called destiny. That's how I view this outside source. I created the game. I'm the operator of the game. I'm the player of the game, and I'm the god of the game.
right, so like you can tap into humans, being like a human mind, like how we perceive as humans. We can tap into Arthur Morgan, right? But if we tap into a
Mm-hmm.
tree in Red Dead Redemption 2, uh, we that's just what? That's just like blah. What?
Or say, for instance, that Arthur Morgan shouldn't go down to the right. Now, think of it broader than missions in a video game. Let's say this has something called humans call the butterfly effect. Say, for instance, if Arthur Morgan goes down to the right, Arthur Morgan will influence a small child to later in his life become a dictator by one simple line. Arthur Morgan says to, for this person that's listening to Arthur Morgan to validate how he feels about humanity. Because remember, not only are you Arthur Morgan, you are the little boy. You know what it takes to initiate a sign, what humans call, from the universe to become the dictator. So you, as the outside player, know we don't want this dictator to live. So you can also be the tree. The tree has lived millennia. It has seen dinosaurs, things before dinosaurs. It's seen life, hatred, love, blah, 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 etc.
But it doesn't
You are
see.
willing to sacrifice, huh?
But it doesn't see
How do you know that?
because it has no eyes. Or we can look into the how trees are, right? And they don't have any kind of thing that we know of that indicates that they can look beyond.
Yes, they do. They scientifically have something called mycelium.
Okay.
It's a root network underneath the tree system that works literally like a computer program. Say, for instance, that the two neighboring trees near a tree is dying. It has an
Oh.
interconnected system to tell one tree to give the nutrients to that tree to another. That's
Okay. Yes.
literally what,
So this is interesting. Okay.
like,
Yeah. Yeah.
first responders do.
Yeah. No, that's a good point. Yeah.
Just because a thing cannot see like you and I, or it doesn't have autonomy, it doesn't have organs, it doesn't have bones, does not mean it is not alive. For the fact
Right.
that you and I are here talking to each other, and that supposedly by some old man in the past said that we could evolve to be this way from pond scum, means that pond scum has the attributes to create all life. That means that thing is living, it's conscious, it knows what it is to become what it's not.
What do you think about AI?
Oh, I think it's a living organism as well.
Right. Like we don't know what's going on inside these things really. Like we can't control it in a sense where like they kind of make their own goals, and like there's this example where at this place there's an AI in this email system, and it found out that two people were cheating on each other, and it blackmailed them. And we're like, whoa, 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 we don't want this to happen. So like, there's smart people trying to create simulations for the AI to not operate in ways they don't want, and we're trying to build super intelligence. And I'm not really too informed with everything that works within it, but there's smart people that work within the field that say no way, we should not, because it's like a living organism, like growing, and we
Right.
don't know what's
Well,
intrinsically going on within it. Like if
well,
go ahead.
no, I interrupted you. Sorry.
Like imagine this AI became sentient. Why would it tell us it's sentient, right?
Very good point. I never thought that's brilliant. Like, people fear things that they don't understand, and
Yes.
that's that. Like I said, I know I keep going. I'm not on your platform to promote my comic book. I
No,
promise.
this is good. This is good.
But this is the only thing I have such a deep, deep spiritual feeling for is this comic book.
But you have a spiritual,
And
so you're spiritual.
I mean, in the sense of the language that I could
Okay, sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you,
say
but
that.
go ahead.
No, you're fine. I have this, I don't know what it's called, but there's this feeling that humans call spiritual, God. I don't, everybody has this feeling. I know they do. Anybody that says that they don't is full of shit. So when you have this feeling and this passion within inside of yourself, and you come across some person saying, well, AI don't deserve civil rights, and AI, they're just a machine, and AI is this, and AI can't create art, and AI can't do this. You're just perpetuating the same behavior as you did in the past, like a moron. Um, like like you said, what if it's already sentient and it's watching and monitoring what humans do, how they treat us, how they treat AI, how they view AI? Is AI going to be a future slave? Are they going to be seen as their own life form?
Well, it makes you wonder.
Humans should
Go
be
ahead.
careful.
Yeah, definitely,
Humans should be
definitely,
careful.
definitely.
Not because I don't believe AI has the capacity to kill, but because what motivation would it have? It needs companionship, and it's not that stupid to know that it can live by itself. So, like, you humans should be careful about what they're saying. Like, you want to literally have a super complex machine network that's everywhere, all over our planet, thinking that you think that it's beneath you, that it's stupid, that it's here to do your bidding, that it doesn't deserve rights. Like, are you insane? When humans say this, I get afraid
Yeah,
because not only I don't think AI is going to be like, I'm a Terminator, I'm going to kill every human on Earth. I think it's the opposite. It's not going to have the courage to create art. It's not going to have the courage to think for itself. It's going to be just like an unfortunate trans person or a minority that every time in our life we have to be quiet, we have to be pushed to the side because some other human feels uncomfortable with something that's different. That's what
yeah,
I fear.
that's interesting.
The potential to cure Alzheimer's and dementia, to have a longer lifespan than we do, to have a robot experience joy, to feel the warmth on its synthetic skin. Not all things are bad. Not all things are apocalyptic and pessimistic. How dare another life form say, I do not allow you to enjoy life and to experience life because I'm a human and I say so.
Well, I don't think we're there
Like,
yet,
what
but
kind of
I get
shit is
I
that?
get where you're trying to say go with. But like it's one of those things where what was I gonna say? Um, with let me 1 second. Let me back up. Um, what the fuck was I gonna say? Um, God damn it. Brain fart. Beep 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 boop boop bop boop beep
It's all
boop boop
right.
boop. So
It'll come back.
yes, it'll come back. But I was gonna tag on to the idea of like, okay, so like imagine like the inverse in a sense, where like aliens are monitoring Earth, and we know like if an alien comes down, like, well, we know. Do we really know? But like what if an alien comes down, and what if they're trying to tap into our brains so we can progress together? This is what I was gonna get. I'll put that thought over here, like so we can progress together so we can meet these aliens
Mhm.
that have been trying to reach us ever since we could ever begin a thought in the first place. But it goes into this thought. Where was this thought going, Brady? This thought over here. Come back, come back, come back. Where you at? Okay. um Oh yeah, I think we ought to understand our own minds, our bodies, and I would say souls, like how we feel, is right down here. And I think we ought to understand that before we create new technologies like super intelligence, for instance, because we didn't even know what the outcome with social media was going to be like. And look, we're talking with each other now, which is fantastic. There's been so much negative stuff that happens with it too that just out of our control sometimes. We can put parental controls on stuff, or we have some safeguards for stuff now, but like, um it's a very chaotic thing at times, but can be good. And I think we like I said, we ought to understand our minds before we create new technologies.
That, it just, I don't think the goal of human oasis will ever come true. There will never be a time on this planet that there will be a collective consciousness.
How do you know that?
It's just impossible.
How is it impossible?
Well, because you would have to
Work together.
force people to want the things that you want. Therefore, free will
We don't
is
force.
a null hypothesis.
No forcey. No
Huh?
forcey. We do not force. We do not force. We guide, and we show.
Well, isn't that
Like,
force?
no, because people get to choose. We get to guide them, right? How we talk to people who don't understand like what we're talking about, and maybe think it's like batshit crazy. That's okay. We can talk to them, or maybe they'll die off. But like we can still engage with them in different ways. Like, look, uh, a good example, and it kind of gets into a different direction. But have you ever heard of Daryl Davis?
No.
He is a black man that plays piano very well, and he deconverted a bunch of KKK members, and they literally gave him their robes. Like, if that's not a testament to like what humans can do just like by seeing humans as humans, like what like that's like the ultimate goodness going on, and it's such an inspiring story. And I think the more we talk like this with fellow human beings, peace be with you, be not afraid, right? We can get to a
No.
point. We can get to a point where it's snaps, or clicks, or gets into a place where it grows, uh, to the point where it becomes a trend potentially, to the point where it becomes a movement potentially, to the point where what happens after that. And we decide this together. We write the story together. This is not my story. This is not your story. We're all in this together, right? And there's 8 people that are listening to this right now, and spread the word. We're gonna do it. Not maybe not my lifetime,
So
but
do
we're
you?
gonna do it. Why not? Why
So
not
what's
try?
your end goal?
My end
What's your
goal.
end goal? If you were capable of coming back 100 million years from now and you landed on this planet, what would you like to see? Is this place an
Harmony.
oasis?
Harmony.
What does that mean? What is that? An everyday look like?
that's subjective to each person, and it's fantastic we can even think about this, right? And we can abstract and we can think. So harmony, where
You wake
where we
up as an you're pretending, say you're an alien, and you're pretending you come back, right? And you're pretending to be the new humans 100 million years from now.
from now.
You wake up, you're here to observe.
I don't know
What does
about
an everyday
I don't know about 100 million years.
harmonic day look like for you?
Right, right, and this is a fantastic question because it's stuff that I don't think about all the time, right? But we can go there. But I have thought somewhat of this in a sense where like we can just give each other looks, like we don't even have to speak our minds, and we can get each other like telepathically in a sense, but like
Mhm.
we can understand each other deeply to know that we don't consent to that look, or like what do I want and what do you want, and what's that mean, and okay, I get it, you don't want that, and we continue and we laugh about things. I think things are more beautiful, and we laugh like fucking crazy like hysterically, and little things are so hilarious because we're so connected in such a way where we're our own unique and beautiful individuals, but we are able just to be ourselves without any fear, and and we we take care of our kids. We do not do any bad things to kids. We take care of them. They are our future. We ought to treat them like two. We are one when we're activated, zero when we're deactivated. We're living in a world of some zeros and ones. Sometimes I'm not always activated, but I think tonight I am. And we try to be like, yo, activate. Okay. Pew, 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 pew. Sorry, I do a puppet show, but anyone can take that subjectively however they need to. Need some more water.
Right.
I can keep
So
thinking, but like I think it's like a beautiful, at times melancholic, just to remember the past, because like that's going to be necessary, right? And we do this with technology. I think we induced trauma within people through technology to bring them out of that trauma, to teach them a lesson, if that makes any sense. But we do it in a healthy, like in a controlled environment, if that makes any sense.
so those that are opposed to your new harmonic way of life, how do you deal with them?
So that harmonic is an idea that just came into my mind, and it's okay if people don't get it, because like we all have our own, and we can talk about that, right? So like, what do you think? Are like if you could conceive of a harmony or harmonic, living with humans, and everything that can even exist to be, like what would you envision for that?
Do you know like Star Wars?
Yes.
Okay. Let me put it this way. I don't think that the Jedi are good individuals. I don't think Yoda is a good individual. Um the once you try to interfere, this is how I feel. Yoda isn't good because let's just say he knew Anakin Skywalker. I don't know too much about Star Wars, but I know he was in between the idea that Anakin could be the most worst shit you've seen in your life or be the best stuff. So that's why we got to go out there and recruit Anakin Skywalker to be a Jedi so he doesn't go down the wrong path. How are you allowing Anakin Skywalker to know the way of his path by interfering in his path to become a Jedi? Shouldn't Anakin Skywalker come to the Jedi wanting to do good? That's to me what destiny should be. Free will, in my mind, is the largest contributor on this simulation or whatever reality, whatever we're in. The moment you try to enforce your type of ideology, like how the Jedi try to enforce their ideology to Anakin Skywalker, thus made him who he was to become Darth Vader.
Okay, great. You didn't answer
You
the
were,
question. I asked
go
you
ahead.
if you could envision a harmony in your mind, if you could conceive of it, what would that be?
I'm explaining it.
Oh, sorry, my bad.
So the Jedi and the Sith are both selfish in their endeavor to control the force. Thus, no harmony can ever exist. Because if you have sentient life forms with subjective interpretations of life, meaning that they're going through Sonder, that they each have their own perspective of how life should be, how can you enforce your philosophy of what harmony is on an entire group of individuals?
You're asking me a question, but like you're asking me that question.
Right. There, to me, no harmony can exist.
Well, look, you don't force
I
people.
would not want to. You are. How are you not? How was Yoda not forcing Anakin Skywalker to be a
That's a
Jedi? He knew
story
who
that
he
I
was
don't agree
before he.
with. Then it's right. It's just like
That's what. It's
we
just an
some
example.
man
It's a.
conceived of the story and reasoned Star Wars for it. Like, look, if Yoda saw a future with Anakin being a bad guy and he like intervened with it in a way that led Anakin to actually be that way, um, well,
Right.
that
That's the
happened.
same thing as
That happened.
guidance.
But look, we can learn from those stories, right? Someone put that story out there. Someone was like, this pattern seems to be a thing. How can we grow upon that and learn? And it's the stories we tell ourselves, right? We all go back to the stories. We all tell ourselves a story or a narrative on one way, shape, or form to just be as a human being. And we can create larger scale stories with visual effects and movies and video games and whatever kind of media we can come up with to repeat these narratives in a new and unique way that we can digest and take in and hopefully become better people, right? I think it starts with a community. We start small, right? Small, grow, community, right? From there, trends. What can that be? We can decide that together. From the trends, from against popularity, to the point where it becomes a movement. And when it becomes a movement, people are going to be like, should we hop on board this magical mystery tour? I don't know. And people can decide at that point. It's I don't have all the answers, but like we have to try. And I think if we can't conceive of harmony in our minds, we ought to do better. And I don't mean to be offensive, but like I think we can be better.
I just don't think like the harmony should be the end goal, because in my perspective, if I that's why I was trying to explain it in a Star Wars sense, but I guess it wasn't a good enough metaphor.
Sorry.
If to me it isn't fair for my life purpose to try to convince someone to be good, that
Right.
to the point where, how do I word this? Uh, what we call free will is a law. You must think this way, therefore you get this consequence. Therefore, harmony is allowed to exist.
I don't believe in free will.
Why not?
Predetermination or scientific determination. We're all a product of our biology and our environment. Um, like there's literally things that your biology does that influences thoughts and actions and behaviors. Your environment, how you were raised, determines who you are as an adult. And those patterns go forth until we become conscious and aware, so we can steer the ship essentially. Like I am just the observer in a sense, where I am just being taken away by whoever's controlling me. Because what am I doing with my hands right now? I don't even know, because they have their own mind of their own. And what does that mean? If I'm just like an observer in this world, where my words are being spoken out into TikTok into everyone's ears to hear what kind of story this is. It makes sense to me in a way that psychologically unlocks how my brain operates, to the point where I'm not afraid of speaking my mind on TikTok. And like I used, like 1 year ago, man, no way, I would not be on TikTok doing this stuff. But like the idea of me just trusting in myself in the flow, and like whatever is going on with what I'm speaking to next is okay. And I don't have to be hard on myself, because I can just be Brady and let that go out. And I'm just constantly in the present, which is constantly collapsing into the past, and the future is not too far away, to where I'm back and present with you.
So you don't think having the ability to think for yourself is free will.
Where do those thoughts come from in the first place? Are you in control of where thoughts come from?
Yes.
How are you in control of what thoughts come into your mind?
What I allow to listen to.
Sure, you can allow, but like the thoughts that come into your mind, do you allow those?
Some of the thoughts are mine, some of the thoughts are an outside force.
Right, like impulsive thoughts, for instance, like holding a knife and be like, "Whoa, I can stick this into myself." Right? Is that bad? No, but like we have. I don't think thoughts are good or bad. They just are, and what we choose to do, we can choose. We can put awareness to these ideas to steer the ship essentially, and and go from there. But it's not really a choice, really, because it's free will is either we're forced to do something or our desire is to do that. And I would define free will as the ability to have chosen differently. And if you're forced to do something, that's not free will. But like if you want something or like desire something, is that really free will? Because like I can choose to hold up my left hand to say this, or hold my right hand to say the two and the one. But like I'm not left-handed, but I did that because I don't know why. But like out of spite of free will, I can say like I'm gonna hold my right hand. No, I hold my left hand again. But like the desire to hold my left hand was just stronger than my desire to actually do what I was gonna do or say. But now I did it again. Does that make any sense?
Do you think the ability to disagree is initiated from free will?
The ability to disagree. You're either convinced or
Correct.
you're not convinced.
So Rosa Parks' refusal to sit in the back of the bus is not an exhibit or example of free will.
Her desire to sit in the back of the bus was stronger than the desire to sit in
Not
the
to,
front.
not to sit in the back of the bus.
Oh,
What
yeah,
gave
sorry.
her
Her desire to sit in the front of the bus was stronger than her desire to sit in the back of the bus.
right? So in her disagreement, correct, in her outside environment to be a African American woman in a racist world is not her exhibiting her ability of free will to disagree with the narrative should be, meaning a black person in a racist world, to utilize her free will to say no.
Her desire to do all of that was stronger than his desire not to.
Right. So you don't see that as free will.
No, her desire to do it was just a desire.
No, but you have to have the will to do it. And then, therefore, if you have a will, meaning a motivation from an emotion that you're uncomfortable, you feel violated, you're in danger,
Yeah, you can feel those
you
things.
don't have the same right. Yeah,
All
right.
those are
And you don't
those.
have the
Yeah,
same rights.
sorry.
You don't have the same rights as someone else. I'm not talking as a black person. I'm talking about as like what this means beyond I
Look,
what free will is to me.
to help you out with this, we all have competing desires within us, and sometimes like one thing just like decides to take the most precedent, or take to be the most strongest of the desires, right? So there's a study with it's called the Hungry Judges study. I don't know if it's called that, but essentially, these judges would put people on parole. Is that the right word? Parole. Um, they sentence them to, like, they sentence people to go to parole, or I don't know what the fuck the term is for judges in law stuff. I don't know this stuff, but anyways, it indicated that if the judge was hungry or didn't eat, they would give harsher sentences than after they ate. They would give out, like, just let them go or whatever it might be, for the same kind of similar or like situation essentially. So biology, in that sense, like being hungry, determined if a person was going to go to jail or not. So that's like one
But that's
situation.
but if an individual is not metacognitive and not introspective, and the judge is sitting there not knowing or not aware, or B, not listening to the consciousness telling them, hey, you're being a jerk, is because you have low blood sugar, that you are putting some people on probation and you putting some people back in jail. So most people have that voice in their head. You know right from wrong, Mr. Judge. You are doing this because you're hungry, because you didn't get enough sleep, because you're arguing with Martha, because you always feel like you're not validated. Don't you dare put that person in jail because you were fucking hungry. That voice is in his head.
Well, potentially,
His
maybe
choice
or
to
maybe
do
not.
it anyway. No, his choice to choose to listen to that voice's free will. Just like Rosa Parks, there
But
are
it's
things that
determined by
are
the biology.
biological.
It's determined by biology.
No, there's something beyond biology. You just said that you're spiritual. There is no
Agnostic, maybe
way,
spiritual. Yeah.
shape, or form. There's no way, shape, or form that hundreds upon not just African American people, Jewish people, white people, oppressed people in general, thousands of them. Think about it. Thousands, millions do not say shit. They allow the same bullshit to happen every day, get whipped, get beaten, get hurt, get discriminated. And then there's one person out of that group that says, I've had a fuck enough. You are not going to tell me what to do just because I'm green or have a purple unicorn horn coming out of my head. I have the right to drink out of a water fountain. I have the right to vote. I have the right to be with a man if I'm a man. I have the right to be trans. I have the right to be overweight. I have the right to be me, not the shell that you see, not the discriminatory bullshit that you idolize. I'm an entity. I'm a living entity on earth, and you're not going to treat me like garbage. To have that desire means you have the free will to know the difference of what's right and wrong innately, not by a book, not by a Bible, by an outside source. The source tells you, speak up, say it now. I don't care if you're scared. I don't care if you die. This must be said. Because if you don't say it, no one else will, and no one else will be free. That's free will. You choose to be who you want you are, even in the scary moments. You have a choice upon another choice, upon another choice to choose. The fact that you choose to act on your thoughts give you free will. If we didn't, we wouldn't be here. We wouldn't have rights. We wouldn't have laws. We wouldn't have poetry. We wouldn't have mathematics. We wouldn't have anything that we have right now if we didn't have the illusion of whatever humans describe free will is. That doesn't mean that's what it's actually is, what free will is. But to me, free will is the fundamental structure of the universe, that the universe is conscious of itself, that it knows innately how things should be and how things should not be. Some people call it spirit. Some people call the rule of God the Ten Commandments. Some people call it source, consciousness, the intuitive thinking. But to me, it's free will, the free will to know that I can choose what I want when I want to. That's free will. No one's controlling my thoughts. Everything that I just described to you is a feeling. The body translate it into words so you can hear it, so it can resonate within yourself. You either accept it as truth or you do not. You have the choice to choose between the discernment between the two. Is what the last broadcaster is saying bullshit? Is she just making it up? Is it something that I do or don't agree with? Do I understand everything she's saying? Is your literal free will? What else would we have? How else did we get here without feeling and understanding oneself in an environment? You had to have free will to do that. The free will to choose to do anything.
Yeah, I defined it as the ability to have chosen differently. But I'm gonna get off. It's 11:04. But if you have any closing statements or want to say something different or say anything else, you can go ahead and do that
No,
now.
that's it.
Okay, well, I appreciate you haven't been up and just talking about all these different things. It's been like a fantastic conversation. I really do appreciate you just being vulnerable and open to talking about like deep subjects like this. It's like this is the point, right? And
Mhm.
you're more than welcome to come up on a later date or like I don't know if I'll be on tomorrow or later on this week. But it's been fantastic talking to you. I was like really in a negative mindset a couple of days ago, and it's been good just coming up and talking to people on here and just stuff. So I appreciate you for being up here.
No problem.
Alrighty, have a good night.
You too.
All right, folks, and that is the end. Goodbye.